So, like you said, my name is Sarah Wad, and I run 7 social media accounts across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn for both NC State's College of Agriculture and Life Sciences as well as NC State Extension. And so in my time, working for NC State, I've worked with a lot of people across different departments within the college as well as different groups within Extension. And so these are kind of the top things that I've noticed where I've seen social media gone wrong. So I'm going to kind of walk through those today and show you what you can do in terms of best practices. So the first thing I hear a lot is people think that they need to join every single social media platform. So they see other people on Facebook, so they think they need to get a Facebook account. They see someone on Twitter, oh, I need a Twitter, Instagram. There's a new social media platform, I need to join that. And that's actually really not the case. So you really need to ask yourself, who are you trying to reach and why? So the first thing to think about is every social media platform, they have different demographics with which it's most popularly used for. So at NC State, we use something called Hootsuite, which is a program to kind of manage our social media software. And so digging into Hootsuite, we were looking at kind of the demographics based on their research that's most popular with each platform. And so for Facebook, it was really saying that it's mostly used by women aged 25 to 34. And then Facebook is also this type of platform where at NC State, we say its purpose is to connect. So this type of platform is great for friends, family, content that really is very emotional and good for storytelling. So if those are the types of people and the types of stories that you're trying to tell, Facebook would be a great platform for you to use. Twitter, it leans again towards women, but it's more of an even mix between men and women. It's aged 18 to 24 though, so it's a slightly younger demographic. But a lot of things that we see on Twitter, we see a lot of researchers on there, industry leaders, scientists. So Twitter is really a great place that we say at NC State if you're trying to converse and start a conversation. Because Twitter, there's so many tweets happening throughout the day, so it's really hard to tweet too much. And then it's a great place to share industry trends. So if there's some new innovation happening within the agricultural world, if you're trying to connect with different agents, consumers, stuff like that, and share best practices, Twitter is a great platform to use for that. For Instagram, that is also women aged 18 to 24. And that is the platform where we really try to inspire people, because you see all of these beautiful photos on Instagram. So the photos really telling the story. And so Instagram might be a great place if you're trying to inspire someone to have a healthier diet. So you might post beautiful foods of different recipes and foods that you're cooking, beautiful landscapes, stuff like that. And then LinkedIn, that is a more even mix between men and women, and that's primarily aged 25 to 29, so those young professionals, but it's also closely followed with 30 to 39-year-olds. And since this is the professional platform, so these are people, again, like Twitter, they're looking for those research and thought leadership pieces and anything that's going to help them elevate themselves in their career. So if you're trying to reach those people, that's the platform that you want to be on. And then how many of you guys already have business platforms on one or more of these pages? Okay. How many of you guys know actually how to look and see your current demographics and who's engaging with you? Okay, some of you, not all of you. I'm going to walk you through those right now on each platform. And bear with me because I'm going to be moving between the internet and my presentation. So the first one you want to look at is Facebook. So what I'm going to do right now is go to my NC State Extension Facebook page. And then I'm going to go under the More tab and hit Insights. And then I'm going to look at People. And so you'll notice that Extension, they have a slightly older demographic in terms of my followers compared to Hootsuite's data. So you really want to go in and look to see who your followers are for your specific group. I will say for the college, it definitely falls in line with what Hootsuite is saying. But Extension does have an older demographic. So here it's telling me 69% of my followers for Extension's Facebook page are women and 29% are men. And then most of my followers, 18%, are aged 35 to 44, and that's closely followed by 45 to 54-year-olds. So that's who my followers are. But then I'm also interested in seeing, too, who are my most engaged audience? Like, who are the people who are actually liking, commenting on my stuff and sharing them? Which is really interesting because the people engaged, that's actually women aged 55 to 64. So that's a lot higher in terms of demographic age. Another interesting thing to look at too is if you go to your posts, you can actually see the time of day that people are most engaged with your page. So here, this is actually on the Pacific time zone, which is about 3 hours behind, but you can see it's pretty consistent across the day around 6 p.m., so our time zone would be 9 p.m. So that's around the time, like I'll post around 8 p.m., 9 p.m. on Extension's Facebook page, because that's when I know my audience is most active on there. Now if you go to Twitter, you would go to, once you're logged in, analytics.twitter.com. And then you're going to click on your audiences. And it's thinking right now. Okay. Now, Twitter doesn't give you as detailed information as Facebook does. And like in terms of ages, it used to give that information, and now it no longer does that. But it will still tell you the gender breakdown. So it's telling me 66% female, 34% male. And it's telling me the top interest of my followers is dogs. I would say that's pretty common for Americans in general. And then followed by science news, which would make sense. It tells me about the occupations, household income, net worth, consumer buying styles. So most of our followers like to buy premium brands. And education, I feel like, is pretty important. So you can see that 38% of people completed college, so that's a good thing to think about when you're creating tweets to see, okay, how much of this are people actually going to understand? Like, who am I talking to? How many people own a home? So if you're talking about lawn care, for instance, that might be relevant to these people versus if they're living in an apartment, they wouldn't care. And then you can also check, this is something new I recently learned. If you go back to twitter.com and then you click on more and you go to Media Studio and then you hit Analytics and Insights, you can see here a breakdown of Monday through Sunday, when your lowest engagement is and when your highest engagement is. So here I can see based on July 24th through July 30th, and you can change the time range. Usually I like to do a month, where most of my action is happening, and that's kind of when you want to time your tweets. So here it looks like most of my audience is on Wednesdays and like a good time range, so between like 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. I've noticed Twitter doesn't really have like a consistent basis of when people are online. But I do notice that on the weekends, it kind of dies off pretty consistently. So on Saturday, people don't seem to be on Twitter for us. And then on Sunday, people will check in Sunday evening. So maybe when they're trying to catch up on like, get ready for the work week and what's happening, what's going on in the news, that's when they're checking Twitter. And it seems like people are online like during the day and then late at night. So 8 p.m., 9 p.m. Now for Instagram, because Instagram is a very mobile platform, you kind of have to look at your analytics if you have a business page on your phone. So I apologize, this is going to be very hard to see. But what you would do is you would go into your Instagram account, and it's currently loading for me right now. And then you would click on the icon in the bottom right-hand corner. And then there's going to be, when you get to your page, there's like 3 little bars on the top right-hand corner. And then you would hit Insights. And then you would hit Audience. And Extension doesn't currently have an Instagram right now, so I'm looking at it from the college's account. So it's telling me my top location is Raleigh. The age range is 18 to 24, and it's 69% women, 31% men. And most of my followers are on around like 9 p.m. every day. So again, on this platform, it's very similar to Facebook. You should be posting late at night. And then for LinkedIn, LinkedIn is like Twitter in the sense that it doesn't really give you a lot of detailed information. But what you can do to see more about your followers is go to Analytics up here, and then go to Followers. And then you can look at the location. So right now it's telling me most of my followers are in the Raleigh-Durham area, followed by Greensboro. Shout out to Greensboro. And then you can go to look at job function. So it's telling me most of them are in research and education. And again, this is for the college account. Extension doesn't have a LinkedIn account right now. Most of them are entry level. The industry is higher education. And then most of them work for a large company of 10,001 plus employees. So I would encourage you guys, for the social media platforms that you are using, check and see like who your audience is actually on that platform. Don't assume you know who you're talking to. The next thing to think about is to know your bandwidth. So don't assume that you're going to be able to post as much as you think you can. Different platforms have different posting cadences. So for Facebook, on NC State Extension, I really try to post on something on there every single day. But for you guys, because I know you guys don't have like a communication team on there, I would say, I know this sounds like a lot, but at least 4 times a week. And the reason I'm saying that is because right now, Facebook's algorithm is really focusing on family and friends. So if you have a business page on there, it's likely not going to be seen by that many people in the newsfeed unless you're constantly posting and have a lot of followers. And in order to have a lot of followers, you need to have a steady stream of content for them to actually want to follow your page. So something else to think about with Facebook, and because of its changing algorithm, is to think maybe I should actually start a Facebook group. Because I've been noticing when I go into Facebook lately, it'll actually show me like on the top right-hand corner, suggested groups for me to join. And a lot of times when you're in a group, Facebook will actually notify you when someone has posted something in the group, so you'll get that notification. Whereas with a business page, you're not getting a notification that, oh, Extension posted a new post, you should go check it out. Facebook groups also are great for like internal communication. I mean, you can make them private, so that way only members can see the posts, or you can make it public so that anyone can see them even if they're not a member. And then Facebook groups are also a great equalizer because not only can the admins post in there, but anyone in the group can post, and it's going to show up like in the news feed. Whereas if someone tries to post to like Extension's Facebook page, that's very easy to miss, like even for me, because it just shows up hidden on like the right-hand corner, and no one really sees those posts. It's just like that. It's just the main post that people are seeing that admins are posting. So Facebook groups, I would say for like internal communication, if you're trying to talk about like trying to say something to your different agents. And then for Facebook pages, I would say if you have a very external focusing goal and you're trying to explain your story and why this organization matters, and you have a lot of followers, a Facebook page would probably be a better use of your time. But just test things out and see what works for you. And if you see like a group is doing better, use the group. If you see the page is doing better, use the page. Social media is all about experimentation, and things are changing every day. So for Twitter, like I was saying earlier, Twitter is that platform where it's really hard to tweet too much. Just make sure like your tweets are making sense. So you wouldn't want to post like a profile of someone and then 50 seconds later post another like profile of someone. That's why I'm saying you should really be on Twitter every single day. Extension, we try to post at least twice a day unless there's like an event happening. Then we might ramp up our coverage. It just depends like what's happening, what's going on in that day. And a tweet really, because people are tweeting so much, just to keep up with that cadence, because tweets can get lost, within 10 to 12 minutes. So just make sure that if you're on Twitter, you're able to have something new to contribute every day. Instagram, because Instagram is so different from all of the other social media platforms, I'm suggesting to try and aim for at least twice a week. For the college, we try to post on there every other day. And that's just because Instagram, if you don't have great photos, it's really hard to keep up a steady stream of content on there. So it's better to have quality over quantity on there. So just make sure you're kind of being consistent and really planning out what you're trying to post. LinkedIn, for the college, we try to post every single day during the work week. So I would suggest for you guys maybe trying to post on there at least twice during the work week. And I say the work week just because that's the platform where people are, looking for a job maybe. People are looking, during the work week, during business hours. That's kind of when I'm posting on there. Another thing to think about is, like I said, every platform is different, so the types of content that you post to every platform should be different. Don't post the same thing to every platform. So for example, you see a lot of people linking their Facebook and their Instagram accounts together. I wouldn't do that because what works on Facebook doesn't necessarily work on Instagram and vice versa. So on Facebook, what works really well, we've found are videos. And one reason for this is directly uploading a video and not linking to YouTube, because Facebook right now is really trying to keep you inside the platform. They don't want you to go, if you post a link and then that takes you off the platform, because then you're leaving Facebook. Because Facebook at the end of the day is a business, so they want you to stay on there as long as possible. So if you upload videos, also I found what works well is if I have a bunch of photos, instead of linking out to an article, if I can, I'll try to tell some sort of photo story. So I'll let the captions of the photos tell the story. And then that also keeps them in the platform. If you go to our page, you will see that we post a lot of links though, just because it's easier. But when I can, I do try to get more creative. For Twitter, videos also work well, but the videos have to be less than 2 minutes and 20 seconds long. So you got to think about it. If you have a 5-minute video, that's not going to work on Twitter. I would also encourage you guys to get creative with polls and GIFs and funny content. And I'll show you guys some examples in a bit here. But I know earlier I was saying that a lot of research happens on Twitter, but you also want to balance it and have a personality on there. So for example, a big thing that's happening in our college right now is this corpse flower is about to bloom. And it was supposed to bloom last night, and it didn't bloom. So this morning I posted this GIF that was kind of saying this corpse flower was supposed to bloom last night, but it didn't. So it was what everyone's thinking. And I took one from SpongeBob that was 1 hour later, 2 hours later, 3 hours later. So just be kind of funny and have a voice on there. And like I said, Twitter's also great for event coverage because you can post kind of those real-time updates. Whereas Facebook, I would probably just do one recap post and that would be it. Instagram, like I was saying earlier, high quality photos work really well, and you want to make sure on I call it a grid. I don't know what you guys call it, but the photos that people post that don't disappear, I'm not talking about stories, but the photos that you see when you're scrolling through people's feeds on Instagram, you want to make sure that they kind of have this like overall theme going on. They have like a pretty, maybe you have like a color palette, or the photos kind of like match each other, so when someone's visiting your profile and they scroll through your feed, it looks very clean and beautiful, because that's the type of content that people are looking for on Instagram. You also want to try to mix it up with videos too. I found that videos don't get as much engagement like they do on like Facebook and Twitter. But I think it's just because Instagram doesn't show you how many likes a video gets. So Instagram, you just forget to like a video, but people are still watching it and it's still getting views. So I would just experiment with those, but keep in mind, if it's on the grid, it has to be like less than a minute long. And then Instagram stories are also great for events like Twitter. So what I tend to do is, if I'm covering an event, I'll do kind of my real-time updates of the event on Instagram stories, and then I'll look back and I'll see, okay, what were my best photos, and then I'll post those photos to the grid. And then I'll make sure that they're in like this square format, because that's the kind of the prettiest format when you're going on the grid. But for Instagram stories, I try to make sure that they're vertical photos, because that's the best orientation on there. So that's another thing to think about, like the types of photos you're taking when you're posting to different platforms. And then LinkedIn. LinkedIn is different from Twitter in that really don't post like about National Cat Day or something. You don't want to have like all of this spirit content on LinkedIn. That's more something for like Twitter or Instagram. LinkedIn, you want to keep it focused more on like your research and your thought leadership, because like I said, that's about building a career and like bettering yourself, bettering your mind, I would say. And also I found videos work well on LinkedIn as well as photo collages, so similar to Facebook. My links on LinkedIn don't get a ton of engagement. And so right now, I wanted to show you guys some examples of different videos and stuff where you can get a little more creative. So I'm going to go back to the internet. Okay, that's not the video that should be playing. Okay. I'm going to preface this by saying this is a video we posted for April Fool's Day. And so I noticed that Extensions followers are really into gardening. So we had this cool idea that we're like, let's do an April Fool's joke about how to take care of office plants because they're fake. So you'll notice that this video, it's really short. It's only 18 seconds long, and it's a text video because most people on Facebook, they're scrolling through with the sound off. So they're not listening to sound like you would listen to a video on YouTube. So you really need to think about captioning your videos, which you have to do, obviously. And then also maybe adding like text sliders in too, like we have here. But that was like a cute little video we made, and that's an example of a short video. Another video that we did that was also short and text-based was this video for Ag Day. that video, again, was a shorter video and like a text-based video. This next video I'm going to show you guys is an example of a longer piece of video. And before I play this, I would encourage you guys to experiment with both short form video and long form video, because most people, when I look at our Facebook video analytics, their average watch time is 8 seconds. And that's not a lot of time, but something that Facebook is doing recently, again, it's always changing its algorithm. It's been telling me lately that videos that are longer than 3 minutes, they're going to prioritize them in the newsfeed now. And I think it's just so that way they can place more ads into the video to make more money, because again, they are a business. So I would experiment with both kinds of videos. I'm still testing this, but I've noticed that the longer videos still aren't getting as much engagement for me as the shorter videos, but see what works for you. So I'm just going to play part of this video.
So 1 in 10 North Carolinians have diabetes, and that translates into about 166 North Carolinians developing diabetes every day. The toll that it takes on your body in multiple systems, in your kidneys, in your heart, and the quality of life that can really impact for our North Carolinians. So diabetes is a big deal for our population.
Type 2 diabetes costs literally millions and millions of dollars in North Carolina every year. If we can prevent people from becoming type 2 diabetic, not only do we save money in healthcare costs, but we also improve quality of life. Diabetes Free NC is an initiative to reach as many North Carolinians as we can that have prediabetes and get them enrolled in a diabetes prevention program that can help them learn how to eat smart, move more, reduce stress, and prevent type 2 diabetes.
There's about 2.6 million people with prediabetes, and we know if we can prevent diabetes, it has major cost savings for the health system, but most importantly, improves the health of the people in the communities we serve. So we're investing $5 million in Diabetes Free NC. This is going to be a free service that any physician or clinician across North Carolina, urban, rural, can refer a patient to, an evidence-based program that's been proven to improve quality, improve health outcomes, and lower costs. So it's a great free access to physicians.
So I'm going to stop it there, but there's a few things that I want you guys to take note with this video. So here you see the captions going on the bottom because, again, it's fueled by these talking heads, which means that you have people who have been interviewed, and you see their faces. So since I said that the attention span is usually around 8 seconds, with this video, you'll notice that this opening shot right here, it's beautiful horses and a beautiful landscape. So we started off with action and animals to kind of try versus having, let's see. Let me play it again for you guys. The voice is going over the image, which we call B-roll. So it takes a little while till you see the person who's talking. And so that way, when someone's scrolling through and they see the first 8 seconds of your video, they might actually be interested versus if, I mean, she's saying really great information, but someone might just see someone talking and then not really, as you're scrolling through your feed really quickly, that might not grab their attention. So you really want to think about how can you grab your audience's attention like that, otherwise they might scroll on to something else. Because you're not only competing with, you know, other universities, other people with an extension, you're competing with brands like Adidas. You're competing with brands like ABC, NBC, who have all of this flashy content. So if you really want to grab people, you have to kind of spice up your game a bit. And it also does a great job of telling a story and saying why this program matters too. For Twitter, this was not something we had tweeted, but it's by NC Green Power. And so They were tweeting about tips for starting a container garden, and they were using one of our sources, so they had tagged us. But I just thought it was cute that they were having fun, like it was educational content, but the media that they chose to use was a GIF. So it's something different than your typical photo. They could have just posted like a photo of like a container garden, but they chose to mix it up a bit. So I would encourage you guys to use resources like Giphy.com, and it's totally okay to use their stuff. Don't worry about like you wouldn't be doing copyright infringement or anything. So if I was searching plants, you can kind of take a look at the stuff here. So like this one might be cool. And so you can upload, it's not showing up, but there we go. So that would really catch someone's eye when you're scrolling through Twitter. So think about how you can mix up your content that way. So here, what I really liked about this was the text that I chose to go with it. In technical terms, I call it copy. So I started it off with a quote from Mark Wethington, who's the director of the J.C. Raulston Arboretum. And so I was trying to encourage them to come out to the Arboretum's garden party and rare plant auction. So I love this quote by him: "Life's just too short for boring plants." I feel like that really grabs people's attention, and that might make them kind of wonder, okay, what is this event all about? This next one is a photo, but the photo really like grabs your attention and speaks for itself. So this is Extension Director Rich Bonanno, which a lot of people around here should be familiar with who he is. But you would not expect him to be like hanging out at a playground on a slide. So this was actually, we were trying to promote something that the College of Natural Resources was doing for Earth Month. So they were trying to encourage some sort of action every day. So this was encouraging people to show like physical activity and how they get active. So that's kind of like how Rich Bonanno gets active, even though this was actually, he didn't do this just for this tweet, but I knew he had this photo. So I was like, okay, this would be a great example for this content, and it related to Extension in that way. So again, just try and get creative. This is an example of some event coverage that we did on Twitter. So when the new Dinah Igor Teaching and Research Kitchens had opened, you have two ways to do event coverage on Twitter. You can do those real-time updates that I was saying and get quotes from speakers and stuff, but you can also try and gather as many photos as you can and do like a little photo collage. And I don't know if she wants to say that she's up here or not. Yeah, Megan's up there. But I try to get like a lot of cool shots. So here you have like an action shot of cooking. Let me do and then you have Megan hanging out with her works of food art. And then you have like a close-up of food. And then I believe she was the one who actually designed this door handle. So this door handle was really cool because it had like a ladle in it, and then each door handle was different. It had a different kitchen utensil to it. So when you're taking photos, just try and think of things that people might find interesting. And I noticed that this type of thing really gets like a lot of engagement when you kind of recap it. So we said we had so much fun spreading the joy of cooking at the opening. See why the facility will help our agents develop new healthy ways to eat. So then we link to the landing page for the kitchens. Going into Instagram, so like I was saying earlier, this is a screenshot from the college's grid. So you can see kind of how we have this theme going on. You see a lot of greens here to make it nice and match. We have a good balance of people, and then we also have photos that don't have people in them. And then we also experiment down here with a video. And then here, this is just a really cute photo. So it was National Pet Day, and so I knew we had this photo. So I just made a joke and I was like, do these count as pets? Because it's like a farm animal, but do they really? And so that's also asking like a question and getting your followers to perhaps respond. And they did, and they agreed that these were pets, and I would agree as well. And it's just cute because you got Mr. and Miss Wolf in there. So just think about the things that people would want to see and make sure they're like high quality. So these are all very beautiful and high quality photos that really inspire you and make your day a lot brighter. For LinkedIn, what I've been noticing recently is that photo collages have been working better for us. We're still not getting like a ton of engagement on LinkedIn as a college. That's our newer channel. But out of the different types of content that I've been experimenting with, this seems to be the best one. So here, this photo collage was from a career fair. And then this photo collage here, so Tom Rainey, he's a professor within our college, and he had recently won the Scott Medal. So I decided, I knew we had like a bunch of photos to go with this article that was written about him, and it was showing just a bunch of the new like cultivars that he had created. And just these photos are beautiful, so that's really gonna stand out on a LinkedIn feed. And actually, moved prematurely. There was an Instagram video example that I wanted to show you guys. So I'll go back to the internet. So this video was something that we posted it on the college's account for Instagram. Like I said, they need to be less than a minute long. So this is a video in the square format, which works best on Instagram, and it's also a text video. So this is a video about how to take care of any flowers that people might have gotten on Valentine's Day. So I said, roses are red, violets are blue. Here's how to keep your Valentine's Day flowers looking brand new. Because everyone knows that like rhyme, and it's cute, and people love poetry on Valentine's Day. So again, that sense of humor, playing on words is always a good thing to have if you're a great writer. Use that on social. And then Instagram does this thing where it continues to loop. But I would encourage trying text videos on Instagram too. Instagram, more people may watch it with the sound on versus off. It just depends. But I know a lot of people scroll through Instagram with just the sound off. So I think it really just depends on the location where people are at. Like if they're in a place where they can watch it with sound, they will. But you'll even notice on Instagram stories, there's a little sticker that says sound on for when you need to listen to things with your sound on. So people on Instagram recognize that a lot of people are trying to tell these stories with sound off. So that's something that I would think about. That's a lot different if you have like a YouTube channel where you're used to people listening with audio. This is something that I was alluding to earlier. So you really want to create in-platform experiences on social media. So try not to link to a YouTube video. You want to download that video from YouTube and then upload it directly to your platform of choice. If you've never done it before, it can get a little tricky. So I am going to send you guys, after this presentation in the coming days, a document of step-by-step of how to do it, and also how to download the caption file that YouTube has and upload it to Facebook. Facebook and LinkedIn will allow you to have captions currently and upload them, but Twitter and Instagram will not, unfortunately. So the only way to get captions on your Twitter and Instagram videos is to actually like have them edited into the video, which can take a lot of time to do. So I would say if it's telling like an audio story, there's really no way to do that on Twitter and Instagram right now. So just focus on Facebook and LinkedIn. But like I was saying earlier, make sure you get creative and don't just link to articles. So a video is a great way to mix your content up. Another thing I see a lot on social media is people will try to write a novel in their post. So they'll summarize their article in the post itself, when really you just want to give a teaser. So a lot of times in our posts, I'll start with a question, and that gets the audience engaged too. That might encourage them to comment. You really want to grab their attention with whatever is most interesting. So maybe keep it at like 2 to 3 sentences. Obviously, if it's, maybe you're telling like a video or a photo album, you'll have to break that text up through the captions and stuff like that. But then you always have that main text. So use your discretion if you need a little more room. But what I wouldn't want to see is like if you had to keep scrolling to like read what was happening on Facebook. If you're linking to an article, just let the article tell that story. Just summarize it a bit. Posting the wrong image size is something I see a lot. So every social media platform is different and they're always changing. So I have this link at the bottom here that I will send you guys as well. But this link is very helpful because it has always up-to-date social media sizes if you're ever in doubt about what size my image should be for a certain platform. For the college, most of our news stories have a header image that's 950 by 535, and that tends to work well if I just grab an image from there. I would be a little careful with LinkedIn though, because I've had issues with LinkedIn where I'll take a photo on my phone and I'll do it like this, and usually those photos like on any other platform are fine, but with LinkedIn I've noticed that sometimes it'll put like these gray box around it so it's not completely the right size. So just be a little careful with that if you do have a LinkedIn page. But the main thing to think about is just make sure you're not posting small photos that are like 300 by 300, for example. So if you're scrolling through an article and you see like a really like tiny photo on the sidebar, you want to make sure that you actually get the full size original image, because what it'll do if you try to upload that photo is the social media platform will make it really blurry by expanding it, and it just won't look that great. So just be careful when you're trying to post an image. So this is an example of what I was talking about with what LinkedIn will do. If it's not the right image size, it'll put this gray bar right here and right here. And it just doesn't look as clean. Another thing I see a lot is people treat social media the same way they do as print media in terms of graphics. So I was scrolling through Instagram one day and I saw just this photo on Instagram, like a screenshot of a manual. And so that's great for like a print booklet, but on social media when you're trying to inspire people, this is not going to get a ton of engagement. It's too much text and it's very small and it's hard to read. But this one, if you're posting something on social media, this is a lot cleaner. You have a nice photo of strawberries. You have our logo at the corner. It has a clear call to action, eat more fruit. And then it has a little text that gives a little more detail about why it's important to eat more fruit and how to do it in a more specific way. And then you'll also notice that this color goes well with the blues in this photo and the blueberries right here. And also, like I said, this graphic was posted to Instagram. In general, I've noticed even if I post a graphic like this, I've noticed it doesn't do as well as if I just posted like a photo and then like if it was a quote graphic, put the quote in the text itself. So I would say if you're into graphics, experiment with that on Instagram and see how it does compared to just a regular photo. But also I would say graphics, I like to use them a lot on Twitter personally. So for example, if you have an event, so this is like an event graphic that I had made. and you have a lot of information that you're trying to get out, so you're trying to tell people what day it is, the time, the location. That's really hard to do in 280 characters. So that's when a graphic really helps out, because here you have the name of the event and you have all of the information that you need to know right here, and it's very eye-catching and pretty. And then in the text up here, I can get like a little more creative. So I said it's that time of year again. Ag awareness is in full swing at NC State. Join us in the celebration tomorrow at our annual Ag Forum, where Extension Specialist Stephanie Ward will help lead a panel on the future of dairy consumption. So I didn't have to waste my tweet space on giving like this other logistical information about how to get there and when. Another great way to use graphics is to have like did you know facts. So at $87 billion, agriculture is North Carolina's #1 industry. This was, I posted a lot of these facts to gear up for Ag Day. And I know this fact, like a lot of us in here know it, but again, that's why you need to think about your audience. If you're trying to educate the general public's not going to know what the #1 industry in North Carolina is or what kind of economic value it has. So if you're trying to change, like, you're not trying to change the hearts and minds of the people around you, you're trying to widen your circle. So also think about that in the types of content you create. And then here it's also have at the bottom this hashtag NC Ag Day, and then I also put it within the tweet copy as well. So that way people know if they want to tweet about NC Ag Day too, the hashtag that they can use for that. And that's something else to think about too on Twitter and Instagram, making use of hashtags, because hashtags are a great way to congregate information. And so anyone who's searching for that hashtag on Twitter or Instagram, all of those tweets for that hashtag will come up. And Instagram now actually allows you to follow specific hashtags. So if someone's following the hashtag agriculture and then you use hashtag agriculture in your Instagram post, that may show up on their feed. And then they might like that photo and want to follow you. So that's a way to get new people to learn more about your organization and increase your followers. And this is another example. This was a graphic we had made for Day of Giving when we were trying to raise money for both Extension and the college. So we have NC State Day of Giving, like the logo here. We have the date, when it is, and then again we have the hashtag for that campaign was Giving Pack. And again, this photo that we chose too, it's just like a nice action shot here. It has a lot of diversity in it. And then it also has this guy here, you can see that he's wearing like the NC State Extension shirt. So whenever you can have branded photography, that's great. I know that's something we currently struggle with as an organization. We don't have a lot of photography that has our brand in it yet. So that's a challenge we're currently facing. Other things to think about is not to just post something because you hadn't posted something in like a week. You want to make sure your content is solid and high quality. And that's where having a content calendar can help, because a content calendar will force you to plan ahead and brainstorm and strategize. So that way you are not saying like, oh my God, I haven't posted in a week. What am I going to post? And then you just post anything to Twitter, and then it just doesn't do well because you were just thinking of something off the top of your head. Also, while you're constantly posting away, you want to make sure that you're not ignoring your followers. So social media is a two-way conversation. So you want to make sure that you're actually responding to any questions that they have. So I know with Extension, we get a lot of questions from people that are like, my grass has like a brown spot on it. What should I do? Or my tree's not looking the greatest. What kind of disease does it have? And so we have this portal on our website where people can submit their questions, but people are also going to do that on social media because they're already on there. So a lot of times we'll post something to our page and then it'll generate questions that people had based on that post. And so what I try to do is, because I come from like a communication background, so I always try to reach out to a specialist or an agent And then I'll, copy the comment that I get and say, okay, how should I respond to this person? Because they're gonna have better expertise than I would, because that's not my background. So never rush to comment on something. If you're waiting to hear back from someone, you can just say, hey, we reached out to like one of our specialists or what have you, we reached out to our team. We'll get back to you as soon as we can with what they said. If you want to make sure that you have that immediate interaction. And then even just trying to respond to as many comments as you can. I know it can be hard sometimes, but it really pays off. And when Facebook, when it sees that a post has more comments, it will be more likely to be shown in the newsfeed. And then also at a conference I went to recently, they were talking about like maybe even go through like your old posts that were performing well and like add a new comment on there, because when you add a new comment, it'll resurface it back so that that way more people can see it. So here are some examples of like conversations that I've had with people on Extension. So this top conversation right here, we had posted an article about the Arboretum being kind of Raleigh's hidden gem. I think it was dubbed that by TripAdvisor. So someone commented saying, yep, Raleigh's 10-acre jewel has finally been discovered, so we said it's about time too. So they didn't have a question, but we're still trying to engage with them because we're happy that they took the time to read our article. And then this one down here, we had posted an article, I think it was from Eat Smart, Move More, and it was about how to get back into an exercise routine. If you've kind of had, you know how when you're exercising and you don't really feel like getting up in the morning to do your workout? So it's kind of addressing those concerns. And so someone said, thank you, you are so correct, and I can relate to everything you said. And we said, great, we're glad it could provide some inspiration and was relatable for you. Good luck on your fitness journey. So again, Facebook, because it's about forming connections, like even that last part, good luck on your fitness journey, it shows like we care about the person. This one, I think we had posted a video about controlled burns on here, and so we got a lot of people saying, come burn my farm acreage. Y'all can come burn my 15 acres. And so we had a lot of questions kind of about like how to go about doing that. So I had reached out to one of our professors at NC State, and he told me to direct them to the NC Forest Service and talk to them about their contract services. And then also it was kind of a collaboration with the College of Natural Resources, so they posted on our page, which is good to do too. Like when people mention you in their post, it's good to also comment on their post as well. So they said, we are so proud of this collaboration and love the work our researchers and extension agents are doing. And so then we said, thanks for helping provide your expertise. We love working with you all. So just reinforcing that relationship on social media as well. Because then, maybe we can get more followers from the College of Natural Resources on our page. And that's kind of what they were doing. They were hoping some of our extension followers might go to their page. Another thing to think about is to not automate your posts. So how many people in here are really good with like IT and coding and like the back end of things? None of you guys. Okay, well maybe some people watching our live stream are. But I've seen this happen where people will go into WordPress, and WordPress has this tagging system. So they might tell Twitter, okay, anytime my group or my department or what have you is tagged, automatically send out a tweet. And that way I don't have to do anything. And then because I don't have time to have a Twitter account, but they told me I need to have a Twitter account, so that's what I'm going to do. Every time a new article is posted, it's like automatically going to send it to Twitter. And that can get really weird looking really fast because so many things can go wrong if you don't have things done correctly on the back end. So I've seen instances where the photo is not showing up, like it'll say media missing or something like that. And I've had instances where I'll try to click on the link and it's a broken link. And then also When you go into the back end, you can customize the copy that it'll say, but some people might not really like customize it. And so it's just gonna sound really stiff and stilted and not personal. And when you're on social media, like we're all humans, so we like to read things written by like other humans. So it's just not gonna have that emotion and personality like you guys were seeing on some of the tweets that I showed you earlier in other posts. And another thing that I want you guys to think about, and I think this was the last one that I had, but don't just post clickbait. So as a college, everyone loves our Howlin' Cow ice cream. And I know it does really well, but I can't just post about ice cream all day because I have to post about the amazing work that our professors and researchers are doing. But I do like to have fun with it sometimes. So when Howlin' Cow was introduced into Harris Teeter stores, we made this video to kind of announce it. And so we played with that, and so we wrote in the video, it was a text video, we have some breaking news to share. So kind of just playing on like, yes, Howlin' Cow going to Harris Teeter is breaking news, and people were flocking to the store. Nobody could find it on the shelves. It was like a really big deal. But I wouldn't want to do a Howlin' Cow post every single day because I'll let Howlin' Cow do that. You know, our brand is not just Howlin' Cow. So be thinking to and have like a diversity in your posts. So maybe think about, okay, every week, I want to make sure that I have a post that hits every category of my organization. So maybe I want to make sure I have at least one food post, one post related to plants, one post related to 4-H. It just depends. In our college, we always try to make sure we're hitting our departments very equally, even though some departments and stuff are more popular than others. And more widely speaking, I'll give an example within the college, like we're the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences, and sometimes we struggle with really like playing up the life sciences piece. And so people in life sciences, they don't feel like they're as heard. But I know that agriculture stuff always plays very well. So we recently had a magazine come out, and our biochemistry department was on the cover. And I was doing Facebook ads to promote the magazine. And so I kind of did this like ABC split test. So I tested a photo of like biochemistry. I tested a photo of a 4-H'er with an animal. And then I tested a photo of a professor holding up an umbrella and like having some fun. And so the 4-H'er and the professor, they did way better than the biochemistry photo, but I still have to promote biochemistry, you know? So you just have to make sure that when you're looking at posts and how they perform, that you're not just looking at numbers, because numbers don't always tell you the whole story, and you have to think about, okay, yes, post what's performing well, but also make sure you're covering your bases and telling the whole story of your organization. And we do plan on having a separate presentation that just goes into analytics in the future. So if you guys are interested in that, be on the lookout for that. I can't fit analytics into this presentation. It would take an hour just going through analytics. So with that being said, we are going to take like a 10-ish minute break, and then we're going to come back and do a little Q&A. Sound good? Hey guys, we're going to get started again, and I am back with the mic for our friends joining in on the live stream because I heard we were having some audio issues, so hopefully the mic helps. But we wanted to go ahead and get started with our Q&A session. So I know I threw a lot of information out at you guys, but if you could tell me like what questions you have, if any, who will be the first victim, I guess? Yes. That was fast. There were a lot of you. That's good. In case you didn't catch that, her question was, she said she gets confused with the @ symbol versus the hashtag. So what's the difference between the two? So the @ symbol is used when you are trying to mention an account. So maybe I am writing a post and I want to tag extensions page, or I want to make sure that they're aware that I'm like mentioning their page, I'll do check out and then @NC extension, because that's like what's called the handle that we use across our Facebook page and our Twitter page. So that when you use the @ symbol, it alerts the people who run that account, and it'll tell them like, hey, I've been mentioned in this, and then they might retweet or share the content or like whatever you're posting depending on the platform. With hashtags, what they do is hashtags are used to kind of congregate information. So you might have, like I was saying earlier, the hashtag agriculture. So say you have like a tweet or an Instagram post. Hashtags are really only used on Twitter and Instagram. You'll see them on Facebook and LinkedIn, but they're not really as popular, so I try not to use them on there. But if you have like hashtag agriculture, people can search for hashtags, and then they can see like all of your posts that have the word agriculture in them will pop up, along with any other accounts that are using that topic. Also on Instagram, people can follow different hashtags. So a popular hashtag at NC State is hashtag think and do. So anyone who's following the hashtag think and do, those hashtags will periodically post with that hashtag will show up in their feed. Does that answer your question? Yes. Okay. So at NC State, with our social media policy, we require you to have at least 2 administrators, and the reason for this is, say someone went on vacation, or, we hope this isn't the case, but someone is an admin that is really being like a bully and kind of hogging the channel. So that way you have a second person that you trust who can like get into your account. So think about who you want to have access to your social media channels, because even though it's like not a website or anything, social media, a lot of people might actually be looking at your social media pages a lot more than your website, since people are already on social media. So that's very like public facing. So think about 2 people you can trust. But if you have a lot more than that, then it gets kind of confusing, because you might have too many people mixing the pot. And so if there's no communication, someone might be posting the exact same thing that you were about to post, or you didn't like a post that the other person was posting, etc. So I would just make sure there's more than one, but don't have too many people, because then it'll just get confusing, and you want to make sure you have good communication between you and your team. Okay, so the question was, she was asking about graphics. So some of the graphic examples I had like text overlays and collages and stuff like that, and what program do I use to make those graphics? So the program that we've been using lately is something called Canva. And so they have a free version, and then they also have a paid version. We use the paid version because that allows us to upload our brand colors and our logos and keep everything on brand. But it doesn't cost a ton of money, and it's super easy and intuitive to use. You can also go, if you want to be a little more professional, and use like Adobe products like Adobe InDesign, for example, going into Adobe Photoshop too. But there's a huge learning curve to knowing how to use those products. So if you are like a beginner, I would recommend messing around in Canva first, because they also have really nice templates to use too. Yeah, so when you go in, it will ask, are you making like a Facebook post or an Instagram post, etc. Yeah. Mm-hmm. A text video. Well, I can tell you, she was asking, how do I make a text video? I can tell you the programs that I use to make it, but that might, end up being a separate session. So the easy program to use is something called Lumen 5. It's LUMEN5.com. And again, there is a free version with that and a paid version. The paid version is a lot pricier than Canva. but you can look into it and see what your budget is. But that allows you to, they have a photo library that you can use with images that are free to use and share, like no copyright infringement. And you can upload your own photos as well. And then they have different templates for like adding in text, and you can change like the background if you want bars. You can change the font, the color, etc. And then you can add in like a logo too if you want. So that's kind of what we've been using, and it's a great way to also, it's like Canva for videos in a way. And it also allows you to resize if you're doing like an Instagram story or like a landscape Facebook post or a Square video. So that's probably like the easiest platform and social media friendly platform to use for making videos. If you want to do something that where you have a little more control over your editing, I would recommend using a combination of Adobe Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects. And again, like I was saying, with graphics, those require like a huge learning curve, and you kind of have to go in and like watch some tutorials or have someone teach you how to do those. But Simone here, our resident videographer, she does classes about video editing. So if you're interested in that, I would recommend her to teach those basics and stuff like that. I have a social media expertise and I know how to make videos, but video is her expertise, So for our live stream audience, in case you didn't hear, Julie back there, she was saying that with Adobe products, each county should have 2 seats. So you may not think you have access to Adobe products, but you might actually, there should be 2 people who do. So try to connect with your county and find that person and maybe see if you can steal some of their Adobe products and borrow it for a bit. And Simone was just giving some more information about her, it is a 3-day commitment for her workshops. So you can, Justin, if you can, or Scott, if you can write down her email address and the chat, and you can just email her, and she can tell you about the upcoming workshops that she has available. She said that she's also encouraging people to use Adobe Rush right now, which is a lot easier to use than Adobe Premiere Pro, which is requires more editing and it's a more polished feel, which Adobe Rush might be more of what you guys are looking for in terms of social media. All right, well, if there are no other questions, then I just want to encourage you guys to also use me as a resource. So if you guys have a story idea that you want to see on Extension's main Facebook page or Twitter account, you can shoot me an email and I will take a look at it. I also have to think too about whether this will apply to our wider audience. So I may not use every idea that comes my way, but I will definitely take a look and see. And that can be a great way to get your content out to more followers, because I'm always looking for things that I can post to our social media pages. And something that Justin has always said is Extension, really its heartbeat is in the counties. And so it's really hard for me to necessarily know what's happening in the counties if you guys don't speak up and tell me. So as we're getting, Julie. Yeah, so we have an NC State policy, and there are certain requirements in that, like I said, you need to have, the question was how do you go about starting a social media account? So each one is going to be different. So usually you'll need some sort of email address and then a password. And if you need the literal basics, you can kind of Google how to start a Facebook page, how to start an Instagram page. Make sure that it is a business account though, not a personal account. I see a lot of people making personal LinkedIn accounts even though they're a business. So be careful about that. Also, NC State has a few requirements if you're trying to be a registered NC State account, which not all of you actually should be registered NC State accounts because it's cooperative extension sometimes, and so we have that partnership with NC A&T University. So if you are trying to be a registered account though, we do ask, like I said, that you have 2 administrators. You should have NC State somewhere in your handle. So like your name on your social media page. In the bio, we also ask that you mention NC State somewhere. And then we're gonna try and take a look and make sure like your profile photo looks good, your cover photo looks good. It's part of our overall like Think and Do brand. And so those are kind of like the technical requirements of it. But if someone's asking me like, hey, I wanna register this page, I usually wanna set up a meeting and I'll take a look at things that you've posted previously and just kind of, I'm more interested in the strategy. And like, have you thought about the audiences that you're trying to reach? Have you made sure that this is the right platform that you should be on? What are your goals for this account? Like, who are you trying to reach? Are you more focused on just getting your events out there? Then if so, I might recommend a Facebook group if it's more of an internal message. Or are you thinking more externally? And just kind of focus more on the types of content that you're producing. I think here at Extension, we really try to tell the story of, okay, what programs do we offer, the people here, and show that they have a level of expertise. We also try and share who we're partnering with too. We play up our partnerships, and then we do a lot of experiential education, so like teaching the public about how to do something and best practices. Okay, I would say it depends how comfortable you are with social media. So if you are a beginner, the question was asking, should you be using Facebook ads as like a county page? So if you're like a beginner to social media, I would say stay away from Facebook ads for now. But if you've been on social media for a while, then I would say yes, think about having a budget for Facebook ads, but make sure you know why you want to have an ad. So Facebook is really good with their marketing, and they'll say something like, boost this post for $5 and you can reach X number of people. So they see as $5 as like a really small amount, but you shouldn't just do that because Facebook is telling you to do that. You should be very strategic and think, okay, this post is performing well for me, and I have a goal of trying to increase the number of followers that I have. So because this post is performing well, I'm going to put a little bit of money behind it, and I have a goal of this post reaching like 1,000 people. And so if that's your goal, Facebook will tell you how much money they think you need to be spending in order to reach that number of people. So you gotta get really specific with your goals. And one mistake that a lot of people make with Facebook ads is they think, my post is not performing well. If I put money behind it, then it'll suddenly start performing well because more people are seeing it. But just because more people are seeing your bad video, that doesn't mean that more people are gonna like it. It's still a bad video. So you really wanna think about Facebook ads, what's performing the greatest, and then also if you have like a really big campaign coming up, like maybe you're trying to raise money or something, so that would be a great thing to think about in terms of having a Facebook ad for that, or if there is a really important event that you want more people to know about, maybe you could try like boosting that event. So the question was, if you are new to social media and you just want to learn more about social media best practices in general, what resources should you be looking at? So the first thing I would say is if you're new to social media, start with one account, one platform. So maybe you choose Facebook, and then learn all you can about Facebook before trying to learn all these new platforms at once. And then in terms of resources, so like we use something called Hootsuite, like I said, to manage social media content, but Hootsuite also has like a blog, so you could subscribe to that and read their blog. Another great one is Social Media Today, and they'll talk about anything new happening in the social media world, any updates. Another great one is Content Marketing Institute. And so they're really great about how to strategically think about the types of content you're posting, not just on social media, but also on your website and other platforms in general, and really teaching you about what it means to be a marketer. So those are some that come to top of mind right now. And another one is called Campus Sonar, and that's really focused on higher education and marketing. So if you want to get specific in that realm, but I have a bunch of them that I'm going to send you guys in a few days after this presentation. That are some helpful blogs and like programs to use and stuff like that as well.